Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here at the AFI Fest 19, and I'm here with Mr. Robert Patton-Spruill, founder of Film Shack Productions, and he's here to film, or he's here to premiere a film tonight, public infamy documentary. Just go ahead and tell the people, our viewers, a little bit about yourself, your experience, background, and how you got to be involved in film.
Sure, okay. Let's see. Ooh, that's a long question, but I started out in film because my dad was an acting and directing professor at BU.
Okay.
So I was raised in the theater, and but the theater wasn't permanent. So even as a little kid, I always wanted to try and shoot stuff.
Right.
And because that's permanent, you can always go back to it and see it again. So I went to BU because my dad already worked there, and that's the only place that I could go without him paying tuition. So he said, "You got to go to BU." All right, fine. I went to BU Film School, and I made my first feature. It was called Squeeze, and that came out in 1997. Miramax bought that film. And that kind of started my career. And that's actually how I met Chuck, which is how I ended up here today.
Right.
Because he was one of the musical supervisors on that film. And then eventually started hiring me to do all of his music videos and stuff like that. And eventually we just had so much footage that we were like, well, do you want to come on tour? Do you want to do this? I'm like, okay. So finally it's like, Jesus Christ, we have 180 hours of stuff here.
Wow.
So through that process, we were able to break it down and then begin making an actual documentary.
So what was the span of time that you used to actually
Well, we have footage that covers the full 20 years.
Wow.
I started shooting in around 2000, so about 7 years of footage.
Wow.
That we collected.
Wow. So was there any other process that you worked on in the meantime, gathering this footage at all?
Any other process?
In regards to, taking scenes or that you wanted to add later, or was it all spontaneous? Was it all just kind of like in the documentary session?
It was all really just pretty organic. What was really hard was figuring out what to cut out, because there's just so many beautiful, wonderful things that I wanted to put in, but
right,
you just couldn't put them all in. So maybe on the DVD we'll get to have other sections. But like I even cut out my absolute favorite song.
Really?
I have like no sacred cows. My favorite song is by Public Enemy is Night of the Living Basics. Pace, how low can you go? I just couldn't squeeze it all in, and so it had to go. There's Flav now.
Hey, there's Flav. Nice, very nice.
Here.
So as far as documenting the band, following the band around, and getting all this priceless footage, what was difficult about the process, and what was not so difficult?
Well, I'm not a rock star, so I guess one thing that was hard was like driving around in vans and buses. I mean, I don't, the life of a rock musician or a musician is not easy.
Right.
So that was like being on war duty for me. But the other part was just the post-production. You get this stuff in your head, and you're like, and you watch so much stuff over and over and over again. It's totally different from when you're doing a feature where you kind of know, like, this is where the scene begins, this is where it ends. With this, it's like, it could be forever, really. I mean, it just could go on and on and on. And then after that, I think the next hardest part was like saying when you're done. It was like, I could probably work on this for 3 more years. It was just like, you just got to be like, listen, great art is it's never finished, it's only abandoned. So we had to just give it, it's okay, it's done now.
Right.
So maybe in 20 years we'll get to go remake this thing.
So, what experience, or at least what is it that you want the audience to walk away with?
I would like the audience to really understand how important Public Enemy and the legacy of music, not only what they did in hip hop, what they did for rock and roll, what they did for hard rock punk. There's so many bands now that really wouldn't exist without Public Enemy. Nowadays, if you look at what's on white radio, all these hard rock bands got a black person in it now. All of them got a little rap section.
Right.
That wouldn't exist if Public Enemy hadn't done what they had done when they had done. So I would have to say that ultimately, if people can get to the idea that Public Enemy are probably the most important rap group of the last century. One of the most important groups, period.
I agree with that.
And you know what? It's a sad day and time where it's like, who's the most political musician out there right now? The Dixie Chicks? I mean, just think about what that is. I mean, like, where has this country come to that, like, we used to take protest music that was important. And, you know, Public Enemy really set the tone and set the whole thing for that. And they really, you know, we need to really respect that and help them, you know, keep on getting that message out there.
Define freedom.
Freedom. Freedom is a hard thing to define, but ultimately, as Chuck said, you know, when he got out of his Def Jam deal, he was emancipated. So, in a way, I want to just say what Chuck says, which is, freedom is free to do the art and say what you want to say. People like it, they don't like it, doesn't matter. But it's freedom to be who you are and live your life and speak your art without anyone to tell you no.
Any advice for any young people or aspiring to be in the film industry?
Yes, my advice for those aspiring to be in the film industry is to don't get in the film industry. But if you have to, because like a moth to a flame, you must get into it, I would say be fearless with your art, be truthful with your art, be honest with it. And if you do those things, you will get that true joy that comes from being an artist or a film artist.
Any closing thoughts? Anything you want to say in general?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really thankful that I had the opportunity to make such a historical document. You know, it was just one of those things for me that, like, wow, you know, I still pinch myself. I'm pinching myself right now. I'm like looking around. It's like, you know, holy crap. You know, like, I've been making movies at a high level for a while, but still, like, this is something really important, and I'm really glad that I got to do it. And my first degree was in history, so I finally get to use it.
Nice.
I get to actually make a historical statement.
I'm excited to see the film too. I got tickets, so does Lori, so does Adrian.
Nice.
Okay. All right, viewers, you heard it from the horse's mouth.
Welcome to the Terrordome.
See you later.
See it in a town or a film festival